My name's Phil Krakitis. I'm known as DJ Phil K, and I've been DJing for about 30 odd years. So I started DJing with turntables in about 1984, and I'm still DJing today. DJing and dance music is all about technology. And through the years, as technology changes in terms of performing the music, it also changes in the way we create the music. So, obviously from the 80s till now, there's been some incredible changes in technology. And because of that, this is why the music sounds the way it does. And this is why we play the music the way we do. So the obvious changes are, in the 80s was the first sort of time the drum machines came out. But they were really quite expensive, and the only way you could own a drum machine or a synthesizer was, if you were a professional musician. I mean, a sampler would cost you as much as a house, the Fairlight. So it wasn't within the realms of your common DJ to be able to kind of create music. So in those days, it was basic things. It was, you had two turntables, two Technics 1200s, you had a basic mixer, something, with not even equalizer on any of the channels, maybe an equalizer over the whole output, two or three, sometimes turntables, and lots of vinyl. But generally your common DJ played records and, on some very basic equipment. And the basics were 1200s and whatever type of mixer you could get. Around about 92, 93, and the club standard in those days was by a company called Denon, and the machine was the Denon 2000F, and it was a dual CD player. So it had, a tray that you could load two CDs in, and it had like a top section for deck A and deck B, and they would be plugged into your mixer. And they seemed to be, the club standard for a good part of, 5 or so years, I would imagine, 4 or 5 years. And then Pioneer happened. So Pioneer, around about 1994, Pioneer released their first CDJ, and it was a really big unit. It was about that big. It was the CDJ 500, and it had a pitch control, and it had some things called master tempo, and it was a top-loading CD player. And look, it did take a while for that CD player to become common in clubs. So there was the 500, which was the big one, and then a couple of years after that they released the 500S, which was really quite a compact little unit like that, and that was also a top-loading CD player and really quite a capable unit in its day. And then Pioneer bought out their first DJ mixer, which was the DJ M500. And what separated the 500 from most other DJ mixers on the market was it had a digital effects section, so you could apply delays and flanges and echoes and all sorts of digital effects to the track you were playing, which was really the first DJ mixer of its kind that could do that. The big thing happened was CDJ 1000 would have happened around about 2001. What was the difference? What did that do differently? The thing that did that no other machine had done up to that point was you could actually put a CD in the player and you could scratch it like a record. Now, from somebody who used to DJ in the 80s and was told that I would never scratch a CD, it was physically impossible to scratch a CD. And I think every DJ from those days was told that. Can you imagine the day that they put their hand on a CDJ 1000 and scratched? I mean, I was flown to Tokyo, to Pioneer, and was allowed to play with the prototype. So you can imagine my face looking at the engineers that built the machine when I first scratched the CD player. So as soon as that came out onto the market, that completely changed everything. And you can pretty much pinpoint the downfall of DJ vinyl to that moment. You can say, as soon as the CDJ came out, DJ vinyl just went like that, slowly all the way down till you get to about 2007, 2008. And then the next big change happened when the CDJ 2000 came out. So the CDJ 2000 was revolutionary because it was a multimedia player with a really big screen, and you could play an SD card You didn't have to burn CDs anymore. You could play tracks off a USB stick, and you could link two machines together and use one USB stick and share that data between two players. So no longer did you have to carry big boxes of records or big wallets of CDs. All you needed was a USB stick. So that kind of completely changed everything. In terms of music production in the 80s, if you didn't have loads of money, you couldn't really achieve a lot of things. But as digital technology started coming to the fore, things like, a Roland TB-303, which was, a throwaway piece of equipment that didn't really work for Roland that well in the 80s. And, 808s, which are analog drum machines, which nobody wanted towards the middle or late 80s, and 909 analog drum machines. People started not wanting these analog machines, and they started becoming quite cheap. So producers started being able to, have access to this stuff because they'd find it in second-hand shops for not much money. While all this was going on in the pro world of, clubs and what was installed in venues, there was another revolution happening in the background, which involved, and I probably call it the democratization of DJing, which involved DJing with your laptop, basically not needing much more than a laptop to DJ with. So around about, the late 2000s, so let's call it 2007 or 2008, there was a company from New Zealand called Serato, who developed a box where a software first that you ran on your computer, and a box that you could, get your old turntables and plug them into this box, and then plug your computer into the box, and then this box into your mixer, and you could essentially DJ with the old technology of vinyl and play computer files with, these time-coded records. So they were the first to market with something like this. And obviously, if you were in the hip hop scene and you were a hip hop DJ, this was your saving grace. And I could see how, when you've made an instrument out of a turntable, how it's really difficult to go from, a turntable to a CDJ. And this sort of allowed you to play digitally with digital files, with analog technology. So this technology started around about 2007, 2008, and there was Serato, and there was another company called Final Scratch, which was developed by a company called Stanton. Stanton then sold that technology to a company called Native Instruments, who from there became Traktor. So Traktor DJ is, the child of Final Scratch, and Serato is now Serato DJ, the software. So that's how they started, and they were both DVS solutions, digital vinyl solutions. And from there, and this is where the real democratization of DJing happened, was the DJ controller. So further to that then being something that you had to have these 1200s and a mixer, which again would set you back, a few $1,000s. It turned into a game where, for $500 or $600 or $700, you could buy this piece of plastic, a DJ controller, and you could plug it in over USB into your computer, and you could have a MIDI mixer and a couple of little plastic pads and some pitch controls. And that really turned DJing into something that anybody could do. The obvious difference is, these days we don't really need to have access to all this equipment. We can have a laptop, a set of monitor speakers, and we can create music. Now, there is a shift again, working in a music technology store, there is a shift in seeing kids these days who have been brought up with, using a computer, sort of start to rebel against that. And now everyone wants analog drum machines again, and everyone wants analog synthesizers again, and they want the music making process to become almost, more difficult, simply for the fact that it's more tactile and it sounds better and it feels like you're actually creating music rather than checking your email. So that is really the biggest shift. The shift is technology has made it a lot simpler to sample, to collaborate, to perform, and Yeah, we can do it all